Angela Simmons has officially entered what she's calling her single girl era again, but this time something feels different. In an interview with Angie Martinez, she opened up about her breakup with rapper and entrepreneur Yo Gotti. She tried to keep it graceful, said it was all love, that she respects him, and that she made the decision. But then, almost in the same breath, she admitted she wouldn't have chosen it. That she didn't want it. And that contradiction, that's where the whole truth lies. Because deep down, we all know, Angela Simmons didn't leave Yo Gotti, she got left. Now, let's be honest here. We've seen this pattern before. A woman gets involved with a high-profile man. It's a public affair. There's Instagram love, vacation photos, red carpet appearances, and soft captions. But when the relationship ends, suddenly the narrative flips. It was her choice. She outgrew him. She needed to prioritize herself. But if you listen closely, if you pay attention to the way she said it, with that tight smile and those careful words, you hear something different. You hear disappointment. You hear a story being edited in real time. Angela wanted this relationship to work. You could tell by how long she waited to go public with Gotti, by how carefully she curated their image. He was the man who had rapped about her for years. He wanted her before the world knew they were even speaking. And when she finally gave him a chance, it was like a cultural reset. People cheered, fans were invested. This wasn't just a couple, it was a symbol. The good girl giving the street guy a shot. The fantasy come to life. But like most fantasies, it faded, and when it did, the reality wasn't so glamorous. Yo Gotti is a private man. Angela is not. From the very beginning, there was a cultural and emotional mismatch. She lives her life in the spotlight, not just as a celebrity, but as someone who thrives on being seen. Gotti, on the other hand, plays the shadows when necessary. And when rumors of an impending Reikio investigation started circling his CNG label, the temperature changed. The very thing that made him dangerous and desirable became a liability. Not just legally, but emotionally. Angela had a choice to make: stay and ride through the storm, or get off the ship before it sinks. But here's the truth. She didn't jump. She was pushed. Let's talk about that for a second. Because there's a difference between walking away and being let go. Angela tried to frame it like she left to preserve her peace, that she chose herself. But the streets are saying otherwise. And what makes it all even more obvious is how hard she's trying to convince us. When you truly make peace with something, you don't need to explain it to the world. You don't need a press tour. You don't need coded captions and carefully worded sound bites. Peace is quiet. But Angela's breakup is loud, which means she's still processing, still spinning, and that brings us to something deeper. Something a lot of women, especially those in the public eye, struggle with: the addiction to attention. Not love, not partnership, but the need to be seen, admired, desired. Because in today's world, attention is currency. And Angela Simmons, she's been rich off it since the day she was born. Her father, Rev Run, is hip-hop royalty. She grew up in the spotlight. Her name alone opens doors. But with that privilege comes a hunger, a craving to remain relevant. And nothing keeps you relevant quite like a high-profile relationship. So when Yo Gotti finally got her, when he went from admirer to partner, it wasn't just a win for him. It was a win for her too. It was validation. Proof that she was still desirable, still top tier, still worth chasing. But here's the catch. When you date someone because of how they make you look, instead of how they make you feel, the connection is doomed. Because once the shine wears off, once the followers stop buzzing, once the fantasy fades, all that's left is two people who may not even like each other that much. Yo Gotti chased Angela for years. He rapped about her, mentioned her in interviews, and made it clear she was his dream girl. And when he got her, it was headline news. But what happens when the dream girl becomes real? When she has flaws, moods, bad days, opinions. That's when the dream cracks. And that's when men like Gotti start to reconsider. Not because she did anything wrong, but because she's no longer the fantasy. She's human. And in a world obsessed with the image, humanity is a letdown. Now we're seeing Yo Gotti out and about with Glorilla. A newer artist, younger, wilder, less complicated, more exciting. Angela might have the legacy, the name, the respect, but Glorilla has the moment. And that's what Yo Gotti wants, the moment, because he's not in love with women. He's in love with the idea of them. The feeling of conquest, the thrill of the chase. And when the chase ends, the thrill disappears. And here's the hardest part. Angela knows it. She knows she wasn't the one who ended it. She knows she gave him her heart, and he gave her a memory. And now she's left doing what so many women do, trying to make sense of why it didn't work, trying to rebuild her image, trying to spin the story into empowerment. But the truth is clear. She was the dream. And when the dream ended, he woke up and walked away. But what can we learn from this? A lot, actually. Because Angela Simmons is not alone. Her story is a mirror for so many women who trade peace for attention, who choose men based on their image, not their character, who mistake desire for devotion, who think being chosen is the same as being loved. And when it all falls apart, they're left with nothing but a caption and a broken heart. We live in a time where love is performative, where relationships are content, where breakups are branded, and Angela's situation is the perfect example of that. It's not just a private loss, it's a public narrative, one she's trying to control. But the truth always leaks out, in the way she talks, in what she doesn't say, in the energy she carries. Angela didn't just lose Yo Gotti, she lost the illusion, the fantasy, the validation, and now she's trying to find herself again. But it's hard to find yourself when you've spent years defining yourself through the lens of who wants you. When your worth has been tied to a man's pursuit. When your identity is shaped by the attention you receive. And now, as she re-enters this so-called single girl era, the stakes feel different. Because Angela is older, wiser, and probably more aware than ever of the cost of choosing attention over authenticity. This isn't a playful post-breakup phase. This is a reckoning. A moment where she either doubles down on the patterns that brought her here or breaks them for good. And breaking them, that requires silence, stillness, accountability. It requires looking in the mirror and admitting that sometimes the chase isn't romantic, it's toxic. What we're witnessing is more than a breakup. It's a cultural shift. Women are waking up to the reality that being pursued doesn't equal being loved, that being posted doesn't equal being protected, that being admired doesn't mean being respected. Angela's experience is a high-profile example of what happens when the image matters more than the intimacy. And for Yo Gotti, this wasn't just about Angela. This was about access. About chasing what he couldn't have, just to see what it felt like to finally get it. But once he had it, it didn't fulfill him. Because like many men with options, he mistook the thrill of the chase for love. And when the chase ended, so did the curiosity. Angela was no longer the mountaintop. She was just another name on the list. So what happens now? Angela will rebrand. She'll get back to her businesses. She'll lean into motherhood. She may even find another partner, one who sees her, not just the brand. But what she must do, above all, is heal. Not for the internet, not for the image, but for herself. And we, as a culture, have a responsibility too. To stop encouraging women to base their worth on who wants them. To stop rewarding men for emotional inconsistency. To start celebrating quiet growth instead of noisy rebounds. Because at the core of this breakup is a lesson about value, how we assign it, how we measure it, and how we lose it when we mistake fantasy for reality. Angela Simmons will survive this. But let's hope she doesn't just survive. Let's hope she evolves. Because evolution, not exposure, is the real flex. And if she's wise, she'll use this moment not as a platform for another performance, but as the beginning of her most honest chapter yet.